Hey guys, what's going on? So today, I know it's a little bit late since we only have a week left of this event, but I wanted to do a little guide for it to get the remaining emblems you need for whatever milestone you're going for here. I was basically just going for the Twinkling Sand. I might go for the next Twinkling Sand since there is a week left and I can farm them a lot faster now with what I'm about to tell you. A lot of you probably know this already, but I'm sure there are some that don't. So there are two main stages you're going to be wanting to focus on if you want to get a lot of the gold and silver medals, and that's of course the normal expert mode and the extra mode or the special mode. I got a few comments asking how to even unlock this, and from what I've noticed, you have to be the host. So you have to create a room and beat it in order for this to show up. There is only a chance it'll show up, but I've never had to do more than 2 hosting expert runs for it to show up. Most of the time it happens after the very first one, and then you can do the extra mode. And now when you unlock extra mode, you also want to be the host. That will make it disappear, but firstly, it uses 0 stamina when you're the host. When you're joining, it costs 3 wings, and while it will stay there when you're using wings, firstly, it's easy to get back. Just host an expert raid and win, and secondly, you get way more medals as the host. Alright, so that's the gist of it. Doing this method, you will eventually run out of your other world fragments, because you can see it does use 10 when you're hosting, and it uses 10 when you're hosting. To easily get those back, and to start getting some bronze medals, because you won't get any bronze medals doing this, you just go to boss battle, and I do this solo, actually, so if you can do it solo, I would recommend doing that, because it just costs stamina, and if I can solo anything, I'm going to solo it, because stamina is a lot less valuable than wings. 3 times a day, you can use 40 Wormite to recover 100 stamina, and you also need 40 Wormite to recover 6 wings. So when you have the option to use 15 stamina versus 2 wings, you should definitely go with 15 stamina. You could also host and do co-op and just use stamina, but that will take a lot longer. You have to wait for everyone to pour in. Just for the record, you can do it more than 3 times, but then it costs 100 Wormite, and at that point, it's not really worth it. So looking at my emblems, we have 1200 gold. Again, I would kind of like to get to the next Twinkling Sand, but that's 3,000, which would require an insane amount of grinding. I'm actually not even sure what the Twinkling Sand is for. I'm 99% sure it has something to do with crafting 5-star weapons, because that's like the only thing I haven't unlocked yet as far as like upgrading and stuff goes. I've seen the last layer of a 5-star mana circle and there's no Twinkling Sand there, so almost certain it's something to do with 5-star weapons. But yeah, that probably means it's pretty important because I haven't seen anywhere else to get this. You do get one of these Twinkling Sands on your first clear, and of course at 1,000, 3,000, and 6,000. 6,000, I have no idea who the hell is going to be able to get that. But using this method, you can get probably around 100 gold medals for every 2 or 3 runs. The medal drops vary greatly. There were runs I've gotten almost 80, and there were runs I've only gotten like 30 or 40. I'm talking about the special raid, by the way. The expert raid never gives that much, even if you're hosting. So that's basically the strategy. We're going to go through one expert and one extra raid now, just to do a little guide for it. It can take a while to find a room when you're hosting, because I believe when someone joins it favors the almost full one first, which does make sense, but just be prepared to wait like, 3 to 5 minutes. So having something else to do while you wait is always a good idea. However, when you do find your first player, usually the other 2 will follow somewhat quickly. And so naturally, when you have a full team of 4, you can go ahead and start. So the mechanics of this boss are actually quite simple once you play a little bit and have a bit of experience. What I typically like to do first is go for the tail, because if you wait too long to destroy it, he'll start doing some annoying tail swipe attacks which do quite a lot of damage, and they're unavoidable unless you actually get out of the radius. Speaking of which, another little tip is using your skills to avoid all the orange area damages, like you can see here. I usually only save my 3rd skill to avoid the AoE on expert, because the other 2 skills do quite a lot of damage, and I would rather get that damage in and refresh the skill, and just keep the 3rd one, which is only a defense boost anyway, to avoid the AoE. When he summons the volcanoes, usually I like to find a volcano next to him and just sort of AoE him and the little volcano at the same time. Sometimes it doesn't work like that, sometimes it does, but in more cases than not, there is a volcano next to one of his legs or whatever, so I try and take advantage of it like that. As far as destroying the right and left leg, it's not super important, but you should try and do it anyway because I believe it drops some items, so you'll get a few extra items if you destroy the limbs as well. And from then on, it's just pretty much a DPS race. If your team is strong enough and not too many people die, I mean, we had a lot of people die here except for my team, but expert really isn't that hard when you have a bit more practice with it. And then here you see we got a total of only 11 gold medals, and we did open the extra raid battle, so we're gonna be checking that out next. I've also noticed that when you create a room for the special raid, the waiting time is much shorter. I guess that's because people know it'll disappear as soon as you create a room and clear it then. But honestly, it's just so much more worth it to go back to expert mode until you unlock the special raid again. In fact, it's probably a bad idea to make this video because that'll mean less people are joining with wings and more people are just creating their own rooms. Naturally though, you want to make sure your team is a bit stronger for this one because it's much more of a DPS race. You only have 3 minutes to clear him, and he is quite a bit more annoying. It's way more important in the special raid to kill the tail as soon as possible, because right after he summons the first set of volcanoes, if the tail isn't gone, he'll do a massive tail swipe AoE that does not only tons of damage, but then he'll like go on a rampage. And yeah, so if you can't kill the tail by that point, you probably don't have enough DPS anyway, and that's the point at which most people give up. If he gets his tail swipe off, it basically means those two things. One, he's gonna go angry, and 2, you don't have enough DPS anyway. The only problem with that is he moves a lot in special mode. Like, I can only hit him a few times before he turns around completely, so just make sure when you have your skills charged up to use them on the tail because you'll need that DPS there. Besides that, it's pretty much the same rules as expert mode. Use your skills to avoid the yellow. It's typically a good idea to destroy at least 2 of the volcanoes to have a little bit of wiggle room because the boss will focus fire you, of course. I've never been able to clear this raid without at least 2 people dying. One of them's almost always my Mikoto there. He is very squishy, and since I'm not controlling him manually, there isn't a lot of protection there, and this boss is just doing skills way too fast. I mean, it might be possible to avoid all of them if I used my skills more smart, but then we might be lacking the DPS. But yeah, ultimately it comes down to trying to not let too many of your own heroes die and smacking on him as fast as you can. I would like to get the medal for the 1 minute, but seeing as how it took us 2 minutes 15 seconds, and I think that was a pretty decent run, I don't know, I'd probably have to like hop on some kind of specialized Discord server and still raise my water dudes and have like a full water team, blah blah blah. But yeah, as you can see from the win screen, we have gotten 16 bonus and 27 normal, which comes out to around 40 gold medals for this one. Like I said, this is on the lower end. I've gotten, I think, 75 to 80 in some other runs. So that's where the real big medals come from. As a bonus to the gold and silver medals, of course, you'll get these blazing summon tickets as well. You know, the rewards there aren't super great after you get all the Pelas and the cards. Then you need like 1,000 to get an extra card or so if you're unlucky. But yeah, I guess that's pretty much it for the little guide here. It just makes the whole thing much less of a grind depending on what your goals are here. I definitely want to get the 500 bronze for that summon voucher. You know, free summons are cool. Also, there is some nice consecrated water there, some Eld water, you know, lots of good stuff. Another summon voucher. Silver, I think I'm actually done with completely. So yeah, those are all kind of wasted now. And gold, I'm probably not going to get to 3,000, but if I do get there, that's definitely where I'm stopping. But to be perfectly honest, I'm a little burnt out on this event already, so I'm not too sure. But yeah, if you have any thoughts about this video or your own strategies or whatever, you can leave that down in the comments below. Leaving a like if you did happen to enjoy is always greatly appreciated as well. Thanks, as always, for watching, and until next time.